You want it. How do you want it? Do you want a little Debo? You want a little Ayuk? You want a little Kittle? Want some McCaffrey? How do you want it, defenses? Bosa. Warner. Hargrave. How about Mook Dog?
Hell yeah.
Javon Kinlaw. How about Mook Dog? He told you, Matt Mayoko, he was really a freak, though. And you go see.
You watched quarterbacks last night. And we all watched them.
It was bad.
Right. No, it was. It was bad. And we've watched over the weekend. We've watched for years. Of the 4 guys you saw last night, any of them operating the 49er offense better than Brock Purdy?
No. Derek Carr may have an argument, but they haven't done much with the stage yet. They struggled in a couple Ks, but they're 2-0.
I mean, Carr's got a nice arm, you know. Is he as rhythmic in terms of the processing as Brock?
He's a little robotic.
Right?
He's a little robotic.
Feels like he's got to see it before he can throw it open.
Right.
Like, I look at Deshaun Watson, and believe me, I fantasized about having...
Hold on, real quick. Let me stop you. Young Carr, before the injury, was just ripping it. Young Carr, before he broke that fibula in 2016, dude was a slinger. He would throw it. He would take all shots. I was like, okay, this is a guy you could build around. The injury took a little bit from him, but I'm starting to see glimpses of it, like the deep shot late in the game to make it 20-9 and put the game away.
Yes.
That was a ballsy play by Derek Carr.
I agree, but I just want Niner fans to, use your eyes. This offense has been so good. This offense has been fluid and humming, and okay, you got a Dallas game where it didn't look great. That's an elite defense. I think we would all agree. Top 2 in the league.
Yeah.
And I look at what Brock Purdy's done with this offense, and they just boom, 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 boom. And you look up and they move the ball.
Yep.
They're constantly in scoring position. When they go 3 and out, it's like, whoa.
It's a shocker.
What happened here? When they punt, you feel like, what happened here?
No, this is a good team. This is a good, well-balanced offense. 30 points a game so far. They've outscored their opponents 60-30, doubled up, and really they left money on the board. They've left money on the table here in the first 2 weeks of the season. Pittsburgh, they just shut the playbook down. They didn't have to do anything. McCaffrey breaks off the 65-yard run. It's 27-7. It's like, all right, let's just get ready for the flight home and get some rest. Shut down the playbook. Last week, okay, you scrap for 30 points. Mm-hmm. But you're 30 against a divisional opponent. That's a big milestone for the 49ers, who averaged 30 points a game in the first 2 weeks of the season. By the way, Dominic just spent $10 on a super chat on YouTube. Shout out to Dominic. Could you imagine if Pickett or any other quarterback was 10-0? Everyone would be going wild.
That's a good point.
Great show. Keep doing what you do, guys.
It's a great point.
Brock's undefeated.
Well,
Brock's undefeated.
What a lot of, if you ever even a little bit tried to criticize Jimmy Garoppolo, what was the number one thing that you would hear back as
he wins games? He's a winner. He's a winner. But Brock does it by taking more chances. Brock does it by not turning the ball over.
Protecting it more, yes.
I mean,
protecting his body more?
His body, and not throwing the no throws.
It feels like, and again, I'm going straight off the field, that the guy has more of a calming presence in that huddle and at the line. Mm-hmm. It really feels like Brock is in there. Did you see him yelling at Debo? I was watching the game back, and he's yelling at Debo on where to line up, and I'm saying to myself, God, that's command right there.
Well, he's a captain for a reason, right? He's got the C on his chest for a reason. The players voted for him. He's won their respect. By the way, I see this text here. You're so right, 925. We will get into it at some point today. Xfinity mobile text line. Warriors training camp starts October 3rd. Less than 2 weeks. Just saying. Trust me. We are well aware of what's going on with the Golden State Warriors.
There was a photo. I don't even know who that person was that posted it.
Travis Walton.
Who is that?
I think he's Draymond's agent, I believe. Okay. One of his confidants from
so
Michigan
State. I didn't know who it was. Yeah. But it's with a shirtless Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my wife. She says, it's the best he's ever looked.
Chris Paul and Draymond Green working out together. Dwight Howard will be meeting with the Warriors at some point this week. Let's get crazy,
Wait,
folks.
D-How?
D. Howard. Remember Dwight Howard last year wanted to be a Warrior.
He
wanted to be a Warrior last year.
This is the Xfinity text line's greatest wish. How many texts have come through 95.7 The Game in the last 5 years asking about Dwight Howard?
I think his mental's are in a good spot. His dad wanted to come on the show and make a case for Dwight Howard being a Golden State Warrior. Well, he went down to Taiwan, humbled himself. Where's his body at? Where's his mentals at? I'm not. Listen,
I want to talk
they
about
took
that.
a chance on JaVale McGee, and a lot of people said that JaVale McGee, really, the guy from
He was
Shaq
good for the Warriors.
and he was really good for the Warriors.
Yeah.
And he only played 9 minutes a game. He averaged 9 minutes a game for the Warriors.
If DeAndre Jordan could be on the bench for the Denver Nuggets, clapping it up for Nikola Jokic, why can't Dwight Howard give me a couple of spot minutes in the regular season?
Hey, I'm not mad at it.
I'm not either.
So just don't shoot no threes. Don't think you're a 3-point shooter. But you know what? Let's get crazy.
Could you imagine him and Kuminga on the road together?
Oh, my God. Imagine the second unit. Kuminga, Sarge, Dwight Howard, CP3, mixed in with Clay.
It's the all-personality team.
Oh, my gosh. No, trust me, 925, Xfinity Mobile text line. We are well aware. We're trying to get there. We're trying to get the morning roast at Chase Center from Media Day. We're having some back and forth with the boss man because we may not get any guests. I just need to be there.
Well,
I need to be there to fill it.
The boss yesterday, he, was out of the office.
Yes, he was. Was that good for him? Was his mentals good being out of the office?
Yeah, he's too hard on himself on the golf course, though.
Matt. I believe
getting very frustrated. He was hitting bombs. He hit some nukes. He did.
Did you outplay him?
We played fine. We played fine yesterday. Here's the thing. It's very difficult to putt on that lake course right now. It is like putting on ice. We played at the Olympic Club for the media day.
Fast, huh?
Fast is an understatement. They were lightning. Hey. Usually I'm a very good putter. Like that's one of the areas of my game. Short game is one of the areas of my game that really translate. Yesterday, I did not have a one putt at all day.
Wow.
I was 2 putting and 3 putting everything.
Wow.
I mean, I hit a beautiful drive and then a perfect 8-iron on whatever that was, 10, 11 downhill. This ball came flying at a high 8-iron, drove it in. It bounced on the front of the green, rolled all the way to the back, flew off.
Right.
And I ended up 3-putting after that. Wow. I mean, it should have been a birdie putt.
I was over there putting on Lombard.
That's so sweet.
And I could tell the greens were fast. I was just tapping it.
Yeah. Oh, no, we call that Connolly. Just breathing on it.
Yeah, just breathing on it. Daniel Connolly. Shout out to him, man. He gave me some nice tips. I got the bug, man. It was fun to just bring out the shrink size, pull it out the trunk, put on the cleats. Made me feel some type of way.
I know we've got Baldy, who's a great personality, coming up in 5 minutes.
You think Baldy golfs? He doesn't golf.
No, but I'd love to have him in my foursome for the stories. And I ran into your boy Jason Dumas yesterday.
He was out there. He was
looking like Tiger Woods. He had the full TW fit.
He may be part of the Olympic Club very, very soon. I'm actually going to take him to the City Club tomorrow. Maybe we all go there. I told him to take him to the hot tub and sauna and whatnot.
I've got a big game, big championship game tomorrow, or playoff and then championship afterwards, hopefully, if we make it. Knock on wood for the O Club tomorrow.
Right. There you go.
Softball team.
What time?
6:50 at Jackson.
All right. Wednesday night.
Yeah, you will not be there. I know you.
Oh, I know. Yeah. They're just having baby Chaz. Yeah. It's family time.
She would enjoy it though.
She would. I know she would. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring out there one of these days. Right now, we got a potty train and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot right now. It's a lot. I'm losing hair just thinking about it. Seriously, stressed out.
Well, at least you have hair to lose.
Right. Trust me, though. We're not talking parades, 408. We're not talking about Super Bowls. It's week 2. It's week 3.
This year is our year.
I think it's our year, but I'm not going there.
Well, it feels like the NFL, if we're just being real, the NFL right now, as you survey the landscape, and things can change dramatically. We know this. Injuries. Who saw Chubb going down the way he did?
So now all of a sudden that game looks even more winnable against Cleveland.
But right now, it feels like it's Philly. It feels like it's Dallas. Maybe you put New Orleans. Maybe you put Detroit.
Maybe Seattle.
Maybe Seattle.
It's the Niners.
Maybe
Eagles,
the Rams.
Right.
But it does not feel as formidable as the AFC.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not with this roster. Not with this coach. And Eric Armstead said this in the first week of training camp. We all sat in that press room. I think Sterling was in there as well. And Sam Lubman, we sat next to each other. Armstead looked at the camera. And somebody asked him about the expectations. He said, look, man, there's 6 to 8 teams with a legit shot to win the Super Bowl. We feel like we're one of those 6 to 8 teams. So that's how the Niners are looking at it. And again, we'll say this every single week in the back of our minds, whether it's Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, the entire organization, you and I, Shasky, we all know this season is coming down to January. Are they going to end up in Las Vegas? Are they going to end up playing for a Super Bowl? Are they going to end up winning a Super Bowl? That's what the season's about, but we're enjoying the journey. And right now, this week 2 journey, beating the Rams, coming back in the way they did, running that 2-minute drill before halftime. I thought it was beautiful.
I can't wait to talk to Baldy and ask him a question about Nick Bosa. I know he put out a video about Nick Bosa.
Yep.
A lot of people were, hitting me up and saying, hey, TJ Watt is dominating right now and has X amount of sacks. Why doesn't Bosa have any? And I watched the Baldy video, and it's like, well, he may not have any sacks, but from Baldy's point of view, and a guy who studies the film and has played offensive line in the NFL, he's like, no, he still has that impact, even though he doesn't have the sack numbers.
The second half, right in front of me, Shasky, I'm at SoFi Stadium. I'm saying 97 is getting closer and closer and closer. Forced a holding penalty. Probably could have been called, or the Rams offensive line could have been called for a few more holds. Bosa was coming, and he's beating doubles. He's getting closer and closer, getting his legs back to him. The sacks will come. They will come in bunches. The pressures are there. His impact is there. He's helping out other guys. So I'm not freaking out about Bosa. But that's the thing. You see the sack numbers, you're like, okay, this guy doesn't have any sacks. He's not any good. That's not fair.
No, that's not fair. On the other end of the spectrum, you got to acknowledge TJ Watt is incredible.
He's a baller.
He is incredible.
He's a baller. He took advantage.
You told me something walking in today that I was shocked about him as the all-time.
Yeah, he's the all-time sack leader of Pittsburgh Steelers history. This is a franchise that had Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, James Harrison, Joey Porter. I'm missing some guys. L.C. Greenwood. I'm missing some dudes.
That honestly, my jaws dropped. No, but you have to acknowledge that in the 70s they didn't record. I believe it was 78 or 79 was when they started to record the actual sacks. Because Deacon Jones claims he got 25 sacks in a season.
Somebody tweeted at me, though. They were like, hey, man, Joe Green had like 78 and a half, and L.C. Greenwood had 77 and a half. This is the fact that he's the all-time leader of Pittsburgh Steelers history.
Well, because there's the unofficial sacks, and then there's this is the same with the Niners, right? There's the unofficial, there's the official, But the fact that he's even on that short list, he's 27.
I know. 28 years old.
28, okay. He's 28.
He's a monster.
Does he look like he's slowing down?
No, he's getting better. Is what's happening. All right, let's get to Shark.
God,
let's get to our man, Baldy. Our main man, Brian Baldinger, back on the morning roast. He joins us every single Tuesday, 7:30. We look forward to it every single week, and he's the best in the business when it comes to breaking down the film, calling the games. He was out in Jacksonville, calling Chiefs-Jaguars in a defensive battle, which was very unexpected, but give the Chiefs credit for slowing down Trevor Lawrence and that Jaguars offense. Baldy, good morning to you. Niners improved to 2-0. And before we even get into Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and all the good things happening with the 49ers right now, I do want to ask you, because I was down at SoFi Stadium, and it felt like it was 80 to 85% Niner fans down there. They really took it over. I called it the unofficial official home opener for the 49ers. They were selling Niners gear outside of SoFi Stadium. I do want to ask you this, Baldy. When you played, whether it was with the Cowboys, the Eagles, did you notice, did Niner fans travel like this back in the 80s when they were they were in the midst of that dynastic run with Joe Montana and Dwight Clark and Jerry Rice? I don't remember Niner fans traveling like this. Do you remember Niner fans traveling like this when you played against them at home, whenever you played against them, Baldy?
No, I don't. And I remember when I was in Indianapolis, we opened up with the 49ers in Indianapolis one year, like, I don't know, maybe 1990 or something like that. Anyways, we got beat by the Niners that day. I remember Jerry Rice catching a 5-yard, shallow cross from Joe and went the distance to the house. I don't remember any 49er fans in the building. But I was in Pittsburgh last week, and, once the Steelers got run out of the gym there, it was all 49er fans.
Wow.
And then I've seen SoFi Stadium packed with 49er fans. I don't know how many are traveling and how many actually live in Los Angeles now. It's hard to gauge. But they are. It's a home game. It's a home game when they play at SoFi right now. It just is, and it seems like it's the trend now. It's like they want to be known for that.
Right.
They want to be known as a team that travels better than any other team, and they might very well be doing that right now.
Well, I saw a lot of 97 jerseys on television that they were showing, and that's Nick Bosa. And we were talking about TJ Watt and how amazing he is. And I think a lot of Niner fans were down on Nick Bosa because he doesn't have a sack. He doesn't have any sack numbers. And you posted a really nice video that you can go to your social media page and check it out. What did you think Nick Bosa did in this game?
Well, I thought he impacted the game. I mean, you force 2 holding calls, you get a couple tackle for losses. The game comes down to a 4th down play. He makes the play on 4th down. He's making an impact. I think that, they're not a blitz team. They're just a front 4 team. I mean, every once in a while, Fred Warner will, add to the mix. They're not a team that zone pressures or attacks from one side. They're basically a front 4 team with Drake Jackson and Bosa and Armstead and Hargrave right now. And they get after you with 4. And so if they want to chip you and double you and slide to you, he's going to get all that, which he's used to. It's no big deal. But I saw him making some good plays out there. You got to remember now, he missed all of the offseason, all of training camp. This is his preseason right now. I expect him, against the Giants this week. And I don't know if Andrew Thomas is going, but their tackles aren't very good. And it's a short week. I would expect to see those numbers start to pick up real soon.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast, presented by our proud partner, Golden State, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. Building better starts with Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoldenStateLumber.com. Baldy, when I walked out that stadium, I thought, boy, the Niners have a quarterback here. I thought Brock Purdy was solid. He made all the right reads. I thought his drive right before halftime, 75 yards, no timeout, was absolutely beautiful. It was surgical to tie that football game and flip the momentum of that football game. But then I walk out the stadium and you get on Twitter and you start getting texts. Oh, he missed the deep throws. He missed the deep throws. Oh, my God, he missed the deep throws. Should we be concerned with Brock Purdy missing a couple deep shots here? I get it. He's got to hit those. Those are layups. But it's week 2, yet and they score 30. I'm not pressed about Brock Purdy missing a couple deep passes. What would you tell Niner fans who are concerned about Purdy missing those deep throws?
Well, I could go a couple different directions, Bonte, on it. Yes, he missed Debo. He missed Ayuk on deep shots, no doubt. I also made up for him with some great throws, too, some great deep throws. One was interference in the end zone, which would have been a touchdown if Debo wasn't interfered with. But, I remember talking to Troy Aikman just about quarterback play, and he said that the last thing to come for a quarterback is the touch on the deep ball. You can hit all the intermediate stuff like he does, like routinely. You can hit all the short stuff in the perimeter game stuff, and he puts it on a tee for all those guys. And I think Troy's right. I think the last thing to come is the touch on a deep ball. Like, you don't want to underthrow it, because then those plays tend to be picked off. So you want to overthrow it if you have to. And it's just tough to gauge. And here's the why it's tough to gauge. Because nobody goes full speed in practice. Nobody. Nobody's pulling hamstrings out there in practice. If the ball is sailing on Brandon Ayuk in practice, he's just going to let it sail. He's not going to go get it. Like, nobody goes 100%. They might go 90 or 85, but in the game, they're going 100. And so you just don't get to see the speed of the game from practice to the game. You just don't. And so it's something that it takes time. It takes time to develop, and you don't get a lot of chances. They took 4 deep shots. They connected on 2, while 1 was pass interference, and he missed 2. But everything else in between was just gold. And his reads and the way that he goes through his progressions, I mean, he's really, really good. He hasn't made a mistake yet. Hadn't put the ball on the carpet. Hadn't thrown a pass that could be intercepted. I'll take mistake-free football with a couple of missed deep shots any day of the week.
I'm with you.
I thought he had a couple of really nice high-level plays. The 3rd and 7 on the first drive to Ayuk over the middle is just pinpoint accurate. And then in the 2-minute drive with no timeouts, he hits Juwan Jennings, little subtle movement to the left, and then a layered touch throw over the linebacker. I mean, there's a lot to love about this guy.
Yeah, all those things, Joe. I mean, you're spot on. I could see all those plays you just mentioned, like, in my head. But he seems to have a really good connection with Ayuk already. Like, he just does. I mean, throwing the ball with anticipation. The ball's out of his hands before Ayuk's coming out of his breaks. Like, Ayuk is their best receiver because he's their best route runner. I mean, Debo can just run you over, and he can truck you. He can do a lot of physical things.
Right.
But as far as just a complete receiver where you're running these routes, you're turning quarterbacks' hips, you're coming out of your breaks just so smooth. Like, he's their best target, and it just looks like right now that Brock has just a great touch with him on it.
Baldy, who does Christian McCaffrey remind you of? You've seen a lot of great running backs. You played with a lot of great running backs. He may be. We've seen Roger Craig out here, Frank Gore, you name it, Ricky Waters. Christian McCaffrey may be as good as all those guys I just mentioned.
Well, I guess I could throw names out at you, but why? Like, he's McCaffrey. I played with 2 Hall of Fame running backs in Tony Dorsett and Eric Dickerson.
Right.
He doesn't remind me of either one of those guys.
Right.
Because, honestly, he catches the ball better than either one of those guys do. But, we've just seen him go like these ridiculous long runs 2 weeks in a row. Now, they're well-blocked. They're well-blocked plays. But he still has unbelievable patience. He still has to make people miss. They can't block everybody. He's still either low-hurdling a guy or he's spinning on contact on a guy. But back-to-back weeks, we've seen 50-plus yard runs from him. And so those plays are just, they're just special. He's just a special player. And I don't know that he needs a comp, to be honest with you. I think at some point down the road, people are going to try and say, does he remind you of McCaffrey?
Right.
Kind of reminds me of McCaffrey. That might be 2 years from now. It might be 5 years. It might be 10 years from now. But, I think people are going to try to compare other people to McCaffrey because he's kind of creating his own model right now.
Well, doesn't a guy like that, too, and I'm looking around the league, Derrick Henry, what he does for Tennessee, what some of these great backs do for their teams, what Nick Chubb was doing for the Cleveland Browns, our condolences go out to Nick Chubb, our prayers go out to him when he suffered a gruesome knee injury, but there's no doubt he changed that Cleveland offense, and what McCaffrey's done for this Niners offense. Running backs do matter, Baldy. It kind of ticks me off when I hear, well, running backs don't matter. You could just plug and play anybody in the system. No, I believe you need a home run hitter to loosen up that box. And what McCaffrey's done in his 49er system, there's no doubt that running backs matter. Do you kind of cringe when you hear that conversation week in and week out, year in and year out?
Well, you saw that graphic last night with Nick Chubb, and you saw, Jamal Charles had a year where in a career, it was shortened. But, he averaged over 5.4 yards a carry, and you saw the great Bo. He's in that company. 5 straight years in a row, Nick Chubb averaged over 5 yards a carry. Jim Brown never did that. Eric Dickerson never did that. He averaged over 5 yards a carry every year. And, the longest run in Cleveland Brown history is Nick Chubb of 91 yards against the Falcons. He's just an amazing player. And I always feel like, we're minus Aaron Rodgers right now. You're seeing Joe Burrow, really banged up. We'll see where we can go. We can't play this game with backup quarterbacks. We need great quarterbacks, but we need great running backs.
Yeah.
We're a league and a fan base that's built around stars. And it could be because you play fantasy, and that's great. There's a great place for fantasy in this business. But we need our star players on the field. Those are the players our eyes tell us they're special. And when you lose a Nick Chubb like that last night, it hurts. It really hurts. Look, Jerome Ford played great, but he's not going to be Nick Chubb.
No.
And so we need our stars on the field for as long as we possibly can keep them on the field.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And a guy who was banged up last year, Debo, he looked great in this game. And I'm looking at the combination between him and McCaffrey. Does anyone have a weaponry like that? I know we have great duos. I know we have a great wide receiver and a running back. But 2 all-purpose players like that. They could do pretty much anything in both the run and pass game.
Well, they're very interchangeable. If you look at Atlanta, Bijan is that guy right now. He's really special. And if they get Cordero Patterson back anytime soon, they've got a lot of interchangeable parts. But I go back to, honestly, your basketball team right there, Golden State. They came out with the name of just positionless basketball. And it's almost been adopted into football, where it is positionless. Tight ends are now flexed. They're all over the place. You're seeing running backs line up a receiver that run routes like wide receivers. It's just cross-training all these guys where you go, okay, let's put Bijan in the slot and we'll put Tyler Algier or, at running back. Or we'll put Debo at running back. We'll put McCaffrey out there. So when you break the huddle, if you huddle, that might just completely go away here real soon. You're not really sure, how to match up when you break the huddle. What personnel do you put on the field to match up with it? And then where are they going to line up? And so it does create it creates some confusion for the defense right now.
What's going on with George Kittle right now? I know we love it when he catches the ball and runs over somebody, and I saw some really nice blocks in this one. He only had a couple of catches. Is he staying in to help block against a guy like Aaron Donald, or is he being used as a decoy? Are they just not throwing to him? Well, what are you seeing that's going on with George Kittle right now?
I think that, they're just finding the open receiver right now. And it's not that George isn't open. These things happen really quick. They come in bunches. He was off to a slow start last year. And then, Purdy came in and, he caught 7 touchdown passes in the second half of the season. They're going to come in bunches. The plays are going to break down. He's going to go beyond the X's and O's the way Kelsey does, the way Waller does, and he's going to get his share. But right now, the offense is clicking, period. And so you can't say, well, not everybody is going to get the action, especially if McCaffrey's playing as good as he is and Ayuk is. And so there are going to be games where it might be this week against the Giants, where they say, Wink Martindale says on Thursday night, this Ayuk, man, we're going to double this guy. He's not going to beat us. So something else might open up, or McCaffrey's not going to beat us. I mean, he's going to try to take something away. And it could very well open up things for Kittle.
We'll get to the New York Giants in just a second, Baldy, but I want to ask you about the offensive line. And, we love to talk offensive line on the Morning Roast. I've watched one of your videos with Trent Williams and how the Niners are running left behind Big Banks and Big Williams. Can they run right behind Burford and McKivitz? Because if they can do that, it feels like going to make this offense complete. What do you think about running to the right side of the offensive line? Because we all know they can run behind Big Trent and Big Aaron Banks.
Well, they run right, but they always end up behind Trent, and they cut back. Because he's just blocking 1 or 2 guys or just creating a lane, and so the cutback is there and you take it. I mean, you're going to go to where the daylight is, and Trent creates daylight. I mean, Zeke Elliott used to say in Dallas that every run ended up behind Zach Martin, and for good reason. And I feel like that's the same case with Trent. And it's not a knock on McKivitz or Burford or anybody else. I mean, you play as one. He's just that good, and he's just that dominant, and it's interesting because the offense is different than almost every other offense out there. Mm-hmm. Credit Kyle. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe Trent can be as good in another offense as he is in this offense, just because of how wide open it is and how they stretch the defense. Like, he just excels in this, toss crack, he's getting out and pulling. Like, it plays to all of his strengths. And that's a credit, because you don't ever hear anybody talking about offensive line playing within a particular scheme that accents all of his skills.
That's really interesting. What was the big difference in the first half to the second half for the 49er defense? Because it felt like in the first half, McVay and Nakua and Stafford were slinging it all over the field. They were still getting yards in the second half. What did the defense in particular, Steve Wilks, do to change things up?
I don't think he really did anything. I think they just played a lot better.
Gotcha.
I mean, the Rams blocked really well up front. I mean, this Steve Avila at left guard, Alaric Jackson, they blocked up their twist stunts. They cracked some holes in the run game, and really it's just about getting off blocks and defeating blocks. I mean, I don't think they did anything different. I don't think they came in at halftime and schemed anything different. I think they just played a whole lot better in the second half and put a lot more pressure on Stafford in the second half they did the first half.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Russell on 85.7 The Game. Maybe this question is a bit premature, something we'll revisit around Thanksgiving, but so far through 2 weeks, I feel like Shanahan has gotten better in situational football. He's actually been a little bit more of a gambler. We saw the opening drive against Pittsburgh. He goes for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. They get the first down to George Kittle. You see him go for it at the end of halftime there. 1 second left. Hey, Brock Purdy, go sneak it for a touchdown. Have you seen Shanahan improve from last year to this year? And if you have, in what areas have you seen him improve in?
Well, I mean, he's got a second year with this quarterback who's just special. So, he's got Brock Purdy, and if you have a guy that you can really trust, whether it's short yardage or going for it on 4th down, whatever, I mean, it's all quarterback-based. And so he's got a quarterback that I don't think he started 17 games yet, but, he's not even close to it. So, I mean, he's got a quarterback that he can win with right now, that actually does what he asked him to do, and he does it almost effortless. So I think that's part of it. But let's face it, Bonte. For Kyle Shanahan is only going to be evaluated in the postseason.
No doubt.
You could be the number one offensive football this year, And they might very well be. But he's only going to get evaluated. It's just because of his track record in Atlanta, Super Bowls, championship games, he's only going to get evaluated. Until he wins a Super Bowl, people are always going to say, but. They're going to say, Kyle Shanahan, but. That's what they're going to say. And it's probably not fair, but that's just the way it goes.
What'd you notice from the secondary? Is this something that can get exposed in the NFC in terms of spreading them out, throwing the ball? Because Nakua was fantastic. I thought Tutu was fantastic. Stafford was really good at times. Like, I know there's only a handful of teams. Should we be worried about the secondary in terms of the pass game?
I don't think so because they're not giving up the big play. I mean, look, Nakua can run, 27-yard stop routes.
Right.
And Stafford completely trusts the kid. The ball's out of his. He trusts him as much as he trusts Cooper Kupp already. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how that happened, but the chemistry is there.
He's a stud.
And so the 49ers are his own team. So Nakua has a great feel for the zone, where to sit down, where to stop. Stafford sees it. They're seeing it the same way. Tutu has got excellent speed, but they're not getting the ball's not being thrown over their heads right now. Right. And so that's what gives me faith that Travarius has been outstanding. All right? And anybody they're playing on the other side has been good. But I think that I don't think there's any cause for concern. You could all those catches to Nakua, 15 receptions, whatever it was, they're all underneath and they're all getting tackled immediately. Not like they're missing tackles. They're not. I mean, Greenlaw and Fred don't miss. So, I mean, they get their, they hit their bullseyes, man.
No doubt.
Every chance they get.
Fred Warner with a big second half, finished with 11 tackles, a big sack. He's playing at a DPOY level. TJ Watt has something to say about that. We saw it last night on Monday Night Football. He is so good. But looking at the New York Giants, though, Baldy, blown out 40-0 week 1 against the Cowboys. Down 20-0. At one point in the season, they're outscored 60-0. But they rally to beat the Arizona Cardinals. And we know the Cardinals are not going to be very good this year, but the Giants outscored 31-8 in the second half here. They're probably going to be without Saquon Barkley, with the ankle injury. What type of team is this right now? What type of defense are we seeing? You mentioned their offensive line having some holes there, which benefits the Niners' defensive line. What type of team are we going to see Thursday night at Levi Stadium from the East Coast?
Well, they played a rookie guard who never played before. They had a backup left tackle for a Pro Bowl left tackle. And they said at halftime, enough. Wink Martindale cussed out his defense and said, we're so much better than this, and I'm challenging you to shut this team down. I mean, just put it on them. And then the first play of the third quarter, Brian Dable said, enough of this. And they went straight down the field to Jalen Hyatt, who can fly. And so don't misjudge this kid's speed. He's so smooth, he glides, but he runs right by you. And ran right by the Arizona Cardinals for, 70 yards. And so they got right back in the game. And, and then Daniel Jones, you have to account for him. He's a very good runner, whether he's scrambling or running. Ran for a 14-yard touchdown on the board. Mm-hmm. But he's a very good runner. As much as talented as Saquon is, this kid Eric Gray out of Oklahoma, he's a good back.
Okay.
He's a really good back. I saw him in preseason. He'll be up this week. Brett Breida. You know what kind of speed Breida has. I mean, that's what you're going to see. You can't sleep on what the Giants did in the second half against Arizona. They put up 31 points in the second half. Like, anybody that does that should get your attention.
Daniel Jones reminds me a lot of Alex Smith. I think his arm might be a little better than Alex Smith's, but just like the play type and body type, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching too much there. Thursday football. Well, did you play any Thanksgiving games back in the day?
Well, he's a Cowboy.
Yeah, I know. So,
Thanksgiving.
What's your thoughts on Thursday football? Because, I mean, with Ayuk's shoulder or collarbone or whatever that injury is, with Saquon, I mean, he was probably going to miss this weekend anyway. It feels like a quick turnaround.
It is, but I mean, like Bonte said, I played in Dallas, so we always played on Thanksgiving, and Landry, who was our coach back then, had a great system. You prepared yourself to play 2 games in 4 days. And it's about treatment, it's about healing up, it's about mental reps, it's about a lot of different things. I mean, at least they don't have to travel. They get their home opener. The Giants got a short week, after being on the road. So this is a tough turnaround for the Giants, a lot tougher than the 49ers. And so, that's just what you get a mini bye. You come off that with 10 days of rest. And so you prepare yourself to win 2 games in 4 days. And the guys who are banged up, you make those evaluations for the long term, since this is so early in the season. You probably, if they're nicked pretty good, you probably sit them and you go to the next guy up and get ready for the long haul.
You brought up, before we let you go, Baldy, I want to know where you're going to be at this weekend. You know I love that stuff, wherever you're going to be, whether it's college or pro. But Kayvon Thibodeau, first-round pick out of Oregon. Dexter Lawrence, on paper, Dexter Lawrence, one of the best D tackles in football. And they traded for Isaiah Simmons, which I thought was a sneaky deal for the New York Giants, taking him from Arizona, paired with Wink Martindale, who you mentioned, who's a very good defensive coordinator, long-time Ravens defensive coordinator. Is this defense going to be the Niners' stiffest challenge to start this season? We thought Pittsburgh would be, and they ran right through Pittsburgh. Where's this Giants defense at right now? You talked about them limiting Arizona to eight points, but the fact that they were down 20-0, what's going on with that Giants defense? What should we look for?
Well, the strength of the defense is really their front, with Big Cat Williams and Dexter Lawrence and Bobby Okereke, who, came in via free agency as a middle linebacker. They're starting 2 rookie corners. Trey Hawkins is a free agent. He's a starting corner.
Right.
You put 2 rookie corners out there, you're going to get tested out there. And so, but they held up pretty good in the second half. But I have not seen very much from Kayvon in the first 2 games, to be honest with you. He's been disappointing to me. I'm sure he's been disappointing to Giant fans. It doesn't mean that he's going to sleepwalk, through the season. He's got to get better. He's got to recognize things quicker. His eyes aren't right yet, but he's got great suddenness and great quickness. I like to see him play with more power than he has. But they've got a lot of different ways they can get to the quarterback. Wink Martindale is the king of creating free hitters to the quarterback. He's excellent at doing it, at breaking down your protections. That's what he spends most of his week doing, breaking down Kyle Shanahan's protections. So I would be, I'd be looking out for that this week.
It sounds like it's going to be a fist fight at Levi's Thursday night. Rivalry. New York Giants and the Niners have some classic playoff games in the past, classic regular season games as well. Baldy, where are you going to be at this weekend? We always love to know. You've had 2 great games to start, Pittsburgh and the Niners, and, of course, Kansas City, Jacksonville. Where's week 3 leading Baldy to?
Probably have the Disappointment Bowl going on this week up in the Great White North, where the 0-2 Chargers and 0-2 Vikings are getting it on. The loser of that game is so deep in the crypt, I don't know that anybody at 0-3 in this league can come out of it. But one of those teams is going to be in the crypt. So that alone should make it exciting, because I don't think anybody expected the Chargers and Vikings to be 0-2 at this point.
It's going to be a lot of fireworks in that game. I think offense is going to be – that
in the
scoreboard's going to get lit up.
presser for Brandon Staley?
Oh, boy, yeah. Not good.
Joe, it's mounting because they do things defensively that just –
He can't get a stop, Baldy. He's a defensive guy who has good personnel, and he can't get a stop.
Great personnel. They got some studs out there.
No, they got beat by Tyreek in the first week, and last week they got beat on some 2 deep shots. And they got 7 guys guarding grass and 2 receivers running right behind them. It's just, it's a head scratcher right now.
All right, Baldy. We'll talk to you next week. Safe travels up to Minnesota, man. Go visit that beautiful stadium up there, man. That U.S. Bank Stadium's nice.
We just call it the bank. I'm looking forward, and we all love going to the bank.
We love going to the bank.
Sometimes it's for deposit, and sometimes it's to go watch some football. So I'm excited.
For us, it's overdrafting that account there, man. Because we're broke working in radio, man. Baldy.
I need a cashier's check.
Baldy, take care, man. Safe travels.
Okay, guys.
All right, man. Brian Baldinger will react to him in the 8 o'clock hour.